So it looks like the results are in, and unfortunately, Faith Goldie didn't win the election in Toronto. She wasn't really even a contender if you look at the results so far. Like John Tory got like more than 60% of the votes, then it was Keysmat with like 25%, and then everybody else got like 3% or less, right? So a good, still substantial amount of people consider, of 10 million people in Toronto. I don't know how many are eligible voters, but I don't know, thousands of people. But this is the results I expected. Uh, it does suck, but as I was saying in my previous video, the demographics in Toronto have shifted a little bit too much for anybody who is, you know, semi right of center to be able to win in Toronto anymore. Like, John Tory is apparently a progressive conservative, but to me, he looks like a fucking liberal. He looks like a Trudeau liberal. He sounds like one. So, this is the only type of person that is going to be able to win in, uh, you know, Toronto, right? There's going to be some people. It's going to be somewhat fiscally conservative about some things, but still very socially liberal and for open borders, tons of immigration, and creating Toronto into a sanctuary city for fucking immigrants and migrants and illegal aliens coming across the border. So it's like, yeah, that is the only type of person who's going to have a shot anymore. And you stack that on top of Faith Goldie being censored by Google, Global News, uh, Bell Media, every single media station refusing to air her ads. But, I don't think this was because they thought she had a chance to usurp John Tory as the mayor of Toronto. It was more generally just to not give her any more coverage and to make her more popular and to get her type of message out. And also, she is linked with a lot of other type of YouTubers like Stefan Molyneux and all these, Rebel Media, all these other alternative media people that the mainstream media doesn't want people to know of. They don't want to. They don't want people to hear Faith Goldies. They don't want to hear anybody else like us opinions, right? They only want their opinions to be heard, their narratives to be spun, and that's it. So that was, in my opinion, why they were censoring her more. It's less to do with the election because, as we see with the numbers, it doesn't look like she had much of a shot. And even if she did have coverage, I don't think she would have won just based on the type of politics of Toronto, the people there, and the demographics as well. So this was more to do with just curbing the rise of populism within Canada because this is kind of what she represents. So they just want to stop that because they see the rise of it in all of these other countries like America, like Europe, like every other day, right? In Brazil. So they want to clamp down on that as much as possible. So they're going to censor her. But, it's really unfortunate that she didn't win. And yeah, Toronto is going to continue being a shithole. And, what are you going to do? But hopefully she continues, spreading her message, continues exposing the media for what they're doing, exposing, Toronto and the shit that is going on there. Because this is also something that is just going to solidify people that do follow her to never ever trust the media ever again, especially all of these media stations that came and uh, revoked her ability to air a commercial or whatever, right? So, Global, Bell, all of these companies now have lost, customers for life. And all these people that have been alienated in this election, like deliberately by these people, are never going to go back, and they're going to turn as many people as they possibly can against you. So it's a short term win. Maybe you're going to slowly clamp down on populism. Maybe you're going to slow it down for a little bit. But in the long run, you're going to lose people that maybe would think like, oh, okay, this station isn't so bad. Oh, Global, they're not so bad. I kind of like their reporting. But now they're going to, oh, wait, they didn't let Faith Goldie air their fucking ad. Oh, wait, this company, they didn't let Faith Goldie do this. And, once people are, if more moderate people are made aware of this and somebody is able to make like a good timeline type video that people could like digest, people will be like, wow, that's pretty fucked up, and if they can really look into what she believes, she's not some fucking far right, alt right type person or whatever. Like, those people hate her. All I ever hear from them about her is that she is a Zionist shill, yada yada yada, and she's not talking about this and that, and she's partnering with Jews and shit. So it's like, on one end she's a Jewish shill, and on the other end she's a white supremacist because she said the 14 words, right? And it's like, I keep seeing a bunch of liberals referencing that in Twitter, and they're like, oh, she doesn't have much to say other than the 14 words. You're like, oh my god. It's like, who cares? Who cares if she said it? I'm pretty sure she said it like, oh, well, what's so bad about it? If you replace it with black and other races, it doesn't sound as bad. Nobody has a problem with it. And that is something that we should, like, yes, it was said by somebody who killed a bunch of people, but the words itself aren't like terrible. Like, the meaning of the words and shit. So, it's just something that liberals can use to taint people and to taint people because of, other ignorant, everybody's ignorant about it. So they're like, oh, okay, well, that's what Nazis say, right? So we should hate her too, and we should also be for opposing her freedom of speech. And it's like, that is the real issue here that I have a problem with, is like that people think it's okay to censor people even if they are white supremacists and stuff. They're like, yeah, but she has white supremacist views, so it's good that they're censoring her. Yay! It's like, no, that's not good. What is wrong with you people? Like, if you really are for freedom, if you really are a freedom oriented person, you will be for everybody's right to speak. I want Islamists to having the right to speak. I want, Marxist and stuff. Go ahead, but let everybody speak. And I hate that when I see conservatives and other people being like, yeah, well, they're white supremacists, they're this, well, it's okay if we censor them, when it's not. And she isn't even a white supremacist, but people will be like, no, no, don't censor her, she's not really one. But they'll be like, it's okay if you do censor them. But it's like, no, 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 it's not okay if we censor anybody, no matter what they say. And that is the real fucking issue here. But that this whole election, like, it just exposed, yeah, how the media is against people like us, is against people who want the country back for old stock Canadians, who want the country to work for us instead of working for globalists, instead of working for, immigrants that have never contributed to the country whatsoever, right? Instead of our money going to foreign aid and funding likely terrorism overseas, how about some of that money stays in our pockets so then we can go and create businesses to then have jobs that we don't need to rely on the government for later on, or later take care of us for, right? Like, but the elections, like I said, the results I expected, and it's unfortunate, but this wasn't a complete loss. And it's exposed a lot, she exposed a lot, and I hope the best for Faith Goldie in the future. And this is also just kind of like a sign that we should also take heed of, because when as demographics change, we see that certain politicians are not really going to be viable anymore. So if this happens on a larger scale in the country as a whole, like we're going to have a bunch of John Tory-ish type of politicians running for office, or people even further left. And that is just a reality that we need to realize, right? And it's like, it's only going to get worse if we do absolutely nothing about immigration. So this is one of the main issues that, if if some of these conservative politicians had the balls to speak about, they would they would definitely win for sure in the next election. But right now, it is pretty close. It's kind of neck and neck from certain polls, but they're still a year away, and still like only 4 out of 10 Canadians know who Andrew Scheer even is. So it's like, man, you gotta start like saying some shit like Trump was saying to get the media to report on you, so then it gets your message out. Even if people don't believe, they don't trust the media as much anymore, especially after look what they did to Faith Goldie. That's even less reason. If you can show people what they did to her, that's even, you're just gonna wake up, red pill more people. But nobody believes them anymore to a large extent. So, they can go and say, oh, he's saying racist things, and this is so horrible. But then the average person will listen, well, that doesn't sound so bad to me. I think I'm going to vote for that guy. Yeah, this is bullshit. The media, they're twisting shit. So it would just be beneficial for conservatives. But right now, a lot of them are too pussy to speak about it, other than Maxime Bernier. But he still needs to develop his message on that a little bit better, and to learn how to answer certain questions from reporters. Because what I often see is he gets stumbled on, they'll be like, oh well, so how's there a problem? Where's the problem with this diversity in Canada? Well, it's like, hey, you know what, look at Richmond in BC. Look at the problem there. There's a massive problem with Asians essentially taking over that city. And, just Google that right now, and there's already tons of stories about, the problem with diversity within that city alone. So, yes, there are tons of issues, but, other conservatives, people like Maxim, need to start speaking about this, because it is not in the public consciousness right now. And that is one of the reasons why they were censoring Faith Goldie, because they don't want the whole immigration thing to get into people's awareness. Because once they do realize that, that's the real red pill, right? That is the real one. Because once they realize, oh shit, we're right about to become a fucking minority really fucking soon, they're like, okay, wait, that's fucked up. We need to do something about this. But a lot of people, they don't even think about it. They don't even really realize it. But once they do, that's when you'll start to see more of a shift to populism, more of a shift to that, because they'll start to wake up to how we are being sold out by our fucking leaders, by globalists, day in and day out. But that's all I pretty much had to say about this. If you like my content, subscribe and have a good day. See ya.